So we're going to be modeling this in class since I did the cage as the demo, so to keep the content a little different. This is a multi-part object. Our die was a single part object. In other words, we only had one object in the scene. We're going to use multiple primitive shapes to create this object. And when I say multiple primitives, what I mean is we're going to use a bunch of little cubes. And then we're going to apply all of the techniques we used in the last project to get it to work. Now, what I like to do is I leave this kind of open. Oh, goodness. Communications, discussions. I like to leave this image open image, over here off to the side, just kind of small as I work. And then I just have Maya right here. So this is going to be my working thing. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn my my workspace to modeling expert. And that pretty much eliminates all of the controls, which is okay. But I am going to go ahead and turn on my heads up display and my poly count, which is on. And this is kind of the window that I work in. Now I will also open under Windows, my general editor, my attributes editor. And I'll probably just keep that down here for right now. So I'm going to start with a cube. And for some reason, my cube came in really tiny, or my grid is really huge. Either way, doesn't matter. I can just scale that up. So now my attribute editor says that I have all this going on, and that's fine. Not super worried about that right now. I'm going to go ahead and W, insert to move my center point, V to snap to vertices, W to turn off the center tool, and then W to move, and W plus X to snap to grid. So now my cube is sitting on my grid, all nice and ready. Now I can see I have a square, and the shape that I want to build is a rectangle. So what I'm going to do is go to face mode, grab these two faces, R to scale, and just scale it out to about there. Now, this thing is no longer exactly it's not snapping to these, so I'm going to switch over to this face, W to move, and then X to snap it to the grid. And what that'll do is just make them exactly snap to the grid on all four sides, which is helpful for me. So I can count out 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So I'm 3 out in the front and 3 out from the back in the dark line. Do you all understand what I did there? Now, we have a couple of different things. We could come through, and we know that this is just like the dice in that we could just extrude this, and that would leave us with this outer shell, right? So let's go ahead and just do that really quick. We'll give that way a try. So let's go with, we're going to need faces. Face, face. Actually, we can just grab all of these faces. And then what we can do is extrude face. And we're going to keep faces together as off. And I'm not going to go to world. I'm just going to come through there. And that's 1, because we know in order to get a sharp edge, we need 1 here. And then we don't want to go back. We want to hit the G key to reopen the tool. 2. So this is where we were talking about. But look, my thing's starting to bleed through. So I'm going to go ahead and go only to right there. So this is where we were talking about the difference on the ways to create different shapes. So now I have this internal piece, Q. But actually, I don't like this internal piece because it gives me a lot of this weird geometry. Do you see this stuff right here? That's going to be hard to work with. Remember when you guys went through and you beveled and extruded and did all that cool stuff? Well, if I try to bevel this right here and right here like this, now if I just go through and bevel, ugh, Yeah, that's just totally not good for us. Yes, we could make it smaller. And that helps a little bit, but man, my geometry is getting all kinds of gnarly. You guys agree with that? That's just looking nasty to play with. Way too many sides, not good for us. When what we could do is just leave that there, and then we could just grab this object So I moved it to the bottom, and now I'm moving it to the back. And what that'll allow me to do is now I can snap to this thing's vertices, and that just puts that right on there with no air in between it. That's really cool, believe it or not. Seems simple, but it's really cool if you understand what I just did. It will make your life a lot easier. Because I've set this on the bottom back, I can now snap this piece wherever I need to, and this one won't quite work, so I'll have to re-snap it. I want to snap that to the top of this one. Now I can snap it to the top, but I missed. I'm in the middle. So insert, holding down the V key. I want to go to there, W, then holding down the V key again. And I can make all those line up exactly like that. Yes? Do you understand why that's cool? Object mode. Control D again. Duplicate this. R. W, V, W, V, insert, V, W, V, R. Now, because of where my center point is, when I extrude, or excuse me, when I scale, this line won't move and only this bottom one will. R. See, I can control the length of it like that. Super cool. Or I can grab these vertex right here, W, and I can snap them with V. Oh, goodness. There. Oh, I had it. Oh, I had it. Missing it. There. Okay. So now I have that. Object mode. Control D. Insert to move my center point, V to snap to vertices, W to move, V to snap to vertice, and there we go. I have that. Perfect. Okay, now you'll notice it's kind of hard to see. Can you all see that? That's because 3D doesn't do a good job of showing dead straight 90-degree angles. It does a pretty good job of showing beveled angles, but not 90-degree angles. Do you understand that? Because 3D relies on shadows, and this does not have good shadows. So we're going to fix that when we go through and bevel or we fence all of these objects. But for right now, we just want to make a note that that is going on. E to rotate, J to lock my axis. Oop, wrong direction. J to lock my axis. Oh, goodness. Modify, center pivot. J to lock my axis. Oh, yes. But look, I forgot to duplicate. That was only a... There we go. Control D to duplicate. W to move. Move. Oh, but look, I have a problem already. Oh, I can see it. This was supposed to be flush against here. Okay, so this is just going to have to come up that much. This is going to have to come down that much. We'll deal with that in a second. E, J. There we go. W. go. And Control D again. Actually, I'm not going to worry about the back of this one right now. I'm only going to worry about the sides. Control D. E for scale, or R for scale. W for move. Come over to my edge. R for scale. Vertex mode, grab these 4 verts. W for move. V for snap to vert. Object mode. Control D to duplicate. Okay, I'm going to grab 1, 2, 3 like that. Control D. Slide the whole thing down. There we go. Now, what I would have to do at this point is I've got to fence all of these objects. If I hit my 3 key right now, they turn into that. Do you understand that? What I really want to do is go through and grab all these things and want to fence them. So I should have fenced them before I did all this duplication. I should have fenced one and then duplicated the fenced one. Does that make sense to you all? But because I'm still only dealing with primitives, I should be able to do one more thing instead of that. Because really, I'm just dealing with cubes. So I think I can at this point, oh, I'm short one little thing. R, move this into here. I've got to put those on there. So I'm short that. Okay. So before I do that, I'm going to do this other thing. Control D for duplicate. E for rotate. J for lock my axis. W for down or move. Control D for duplicate. Grab my vertex of this one, vertex. Slide these right over to here. Face. Let's grab this, Control D. Duplicate. Vertex. Okay, and then I'm going to grab 1, 2, 3, Control D. Just slide it over. Good enough. All right, so now I have this right here. Now, I'm going to go through and leave all that alone for right this second. I'm going to have to think here for a second. Now, because these are all still just basically primitive cubes, and I shouldn't have that little bit of overlap, which I do. I've got to fix that. Need to make sure that none of these overlap. That all looks good. What I should be able to do at this point is grab all of my edges per object. So object mode, and then grab all of my edges. And then I should be able to just bevel the edge. Now that is way too much, so let's do 0.025, and that's probably not enough. But look, you can't see the edges on this inside box, but it's still going to matter because you don't want it to turn into a circle here in a second. 0.1, that's too much. 0.05. It's too much. 0.02. I guess 0.02 is going to have to work. So I'm going to do that for every object. So grab this, G, 0.2. But instead of doing it that way, what I'm going to try to do really quick is grab all of these objects, deselect that, then come through and combine these objects, because I want them all to do it at the same time. And I want to Object. Oh, God, my fingers today. I need edges. Grab all those edges and bevel and point 2. There we go. Now, when I hit object mode 3, everything looks good. I have some little spaces in between a lot of this stuff, and I have a lot of rounded edges. So let's turn off this wireframe. You can see I don't have any razor blade edges. And when I come over to Arnold Lights Sky Dome Light, object mode, I'm going to combine this with this. Combine for just a second. That did something funny when that combined. I can't combine that. Okay, that's fine. Leave that alone and then come up under, we're going to need to turn on our little blue dot. Hypershades, hypershade, 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 window, general editors, hypershade, modeling animation, rendering editors, hypershade. Okay, here's my hypershade window, and we all remember that we need to use an Arnold standard surface. And I'm going to go ahead and call this one Crate. And I'm going to grab this color, and I'm going to drag it down into gray because I don't want white. And then with this selected, assign material to selection, assign material to selection. Let's see how that looks. Arnold and render. File. There we go. So when we look at it, we have like soft edges. We have all these little lines kind of thing, and they're all a little bit off because I'm working really fast and crappy because it's in class. But you can see the division of the things. Now we need to add those little triangle pieces. So let's add those little triangle pieces. But before I do that, I'm going to come back to the one view. I'm going to take all of these to the one view. One view. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of these objects, these right here, and I'm going to grab all of their faces, and I'm going to grab all their faces, and then I'm going to grab all of these faces right here. Shift select, right like that, and that should give me that. So Control Z, let's go this way. Shift select that way. And all I've selected is these back faces. I'm going to delete all those back faces, and then I'm going to do the same thing to this box right here. Face, and I'm going to select all of my faces. Then I'm going to deselect all of these faces, and then I'm going to delete that. Now what I could do when I'm ready is I can mirror this object, and what that'll do is it'll take the front side and it'll stop me from having to model the back side. Does that make sense? Yeah. So if I grab this object right here and I say shift right click and I say mirror and grab that, and I'm going to say that this is going to go in the Z direction. There we go. And I'm going to say that we're going to do it on the object, on the world, whatever we want to do. Cut geometry off, cut geometry on, merge borders, merge borders. That is looking pretty good to me. Okay, so then that's done. So object mode. So now I have a completed box. And my geometry is good. So when I hit the 3 key, everything works. I'm going to hit the 1 key. I'm going to delete this box out of here because this box is throwing everything off. Object mode 3, 1. Actually, I don't even really need the 3 key on this because I did a bevel and not a fence, but I'm going to object. 3 is kind of overkilling the softness. I'm short some geometry in here. It's not going to work for the bevel. I would have needed to do less of a bevel to get this to work. Okay, so let's go ahead and put another cube in. Cube, R. Oh my goodness, I am grabbing the wrong thing. There, this direction. Okay, that's all built. That all looks good to me now. So now I've got to add these little triangle things. I'm going to delete this sky dome for just a second because it's just in my way while I'm working. I'm going to make another cube. W, move it off to the side. R, grab that. I'm going to do this for right this second. Now, if I just grab this vertex right here, W, I should just be able to go about halfway up. So right there would work fine. I'm going to actually just grab that. Then I'm going to grab all of these vertex right here. So there should be 4 vertex. And I'm just going to say merge vertices. Shift right click, merge vertices. Merge vertices right there. Let's see. Now I have 2. And that piece is now done. Object mode. R, just make this a little bit smaller. Let's make it thinner. W, let's move it into location. Modify center pivot. Modify center pivot. Fine. R, W. Let's go ahead and bevel this object edge. Grab all these edges and bevel edge. 0.02. And I probably need 2 in there if I'm going to actually get those lines a little bit better. Object mode, Control D, W. Now I'm going to just try something here just to be tricky because it's fun. So here's my object. So the first thing I'm going to do is edit, delete all by type, delete my history. If my computer's starting to slow down, that's the first thing I need to do. Delete all by type, edit, delete all history. Now I don't have any undos. Control Z no longer works. Now what I'm going to do is modify. So see how this translate is off by 400 pixels and all this other stuff? Yes? When I say freeze transforms, all that changes to 0. This is now the new 0 location of that. Does that make sense to you all? Mm-hmm. So now I should just be able to rotate it in this one, negative 360. Nope, that did it. Negative 180. There we go. And I was able to just kind of flip it around a little bit. And then Control D, duplicate this, and then... Oh, I didn't Control D. Control Z. Control Z. Aha. Control Z. There. Control D for duplicate. Grab this. And let's see. 0. Negative 90. Nope. 0. Negative 90. Yep. Negative 180. There we go. Let's grab this object mode, modify, and we'll do that in a second. I'm just going to drag this down right there. Modify, freeze trans. Oh, goodness. Control D. There we go. Modify, freeze transform. 90. Oh, did I actually, was it the right way? 0? No, it was exactly 180. There we go. Nope. Negative 180. Nope, that goes the same way.
You just like flip it?
You could. 0, you can do I was just messing with something. We can actually, if I just come over here, if I'm ever curious about this E, just going to rotate this in this direction. So it would have actually needed to go to negative 90. There we go. And I've got all 4 of those now. So I can grab all 4 of these. No, all 4 of these, not that, not that. Shift this, there we go. And combine, Control D, W. I got a little bit of an extra thing in there I'm going to have to get rid of in a second. Okay, object mode, separate, delete. There we go. It looks like we're a little bit far off of that. And then we're going to need these 3 bottom pieces kind of thing. This one looks like it's in the wrong spot to me. Not going to worry about it. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab one of these, separate. I'm holding the shift right click down to separate this. Actually, I'm just going to grab this one. No, I don't want to grab this one. I want this one. Control D. Now with this I have to be a little careful because if I just scale this, it will be wrong. So R and I just scale like that. I have to be careful because that isn't necessarily what I want. See how that has a little separation on it right there? It's that little bevel. And when I just scale it, that bevel changes sizes. That's not what I want for this. What I want to do is grab this vertex and W, and that'll keep all of the scale between here and here equal, but allows me to change the shape of this object. There we go. That's kind of what I want. So you can't scale it once you've beveled or extruded or whatever. You need to move the vertices of it in order to get the different shapes. Object mode, modify center pivot, Control D, combine these 2 objects, Control D, Control D. All right, and there we go. There's our crate for all intents and purposes. It looks like I need some of these little triangle things on the side. So let's grab some of these little triangle things and put them on the side. So we'll grab the ones that are separated already. Looks like I'm in a little too far on this. Okay, let's move these out just a smidgen. Let's grab this. Let's combine these. Combine. Let's duplicate these. E, J. Look over at my attributes. That should be -90, and it is. W. W. Object mode. W. And this one's going to be way too big. You can see it right there. R. W. There we go. Control D. Grab this. What is that? -180? Nope. Let's do 360. Nope. Let's do 0. Let's do object mode. Thank you. E, J. Oh, it was -180 in that view. There we go. Let's get all that, and then let's grab this and there and combine these. Duplicate, combine. Control D. Grab these. I'm just a little smugger. That looks pretty good to me. Let's combine. Let's grab all of these objects. And 3. Ooh, my center, forgot to smooth that. So let's grab just this object now. 1. Oh, and I haven't smoothed those either. Oh, those are smooth, but those aren't. That's unique, Todd. Good job. All right, so let's delete 1. Let's delete these really quick. Delete. Oh, God. Let's grab. Combine. Control D. Okay, good enough. R. There. This is already in the 3 view. This is in the 3 view. Okay, so I think this one is too sloppy, but whatever. Object mode. Let's grab all of these objects. Let's combine all of these objects. Let's have everything go to the 1 view for just a second. And let's have everything go to the 3 view. Looking good. There's my base. And then let's put another cube in. Cube. W. R. W. All right, it's not my best work by any means, but it will totally do for today's 3-second demo. Oh my goodness, my fingers today, I swear. Good enough. Object mode. Let's look down at this like that. Arnold. So let's render this. We can see we missed, this thing is down a little far. Arnold render. There we go. Okay. So let's go ahead and come back over to the hyper shader. Do I not have it up anymore? I do not have it up anymore. Windows, rendering editors, hypershade. I'm going to make a second shader, and we're going to go Arnold, standard surface. We're going to grab a darker, create dark. Okay, and we're just going to slide this over somewhere other than bright white. Okay, not that dark, just a little darker. And I'm going to grab the floor, and create dark. assign material to selection. And I'm going to grab all of this stuff right here. Object mode. Grab all this, grab that. Create assign material to selection. Move this off to the side for just a second. Move this off to the side for just a second. Come through. Give myself a nice 3/4 view. Arnold and render. All right, so I mean, you can see I have some differentiation of the shapes. This bevel is way too soft. I should have used fencing, not bevel. I should have done a lot of different things to improve this. But I don't have razor sharp edges. I don't have big round bulbous balloons. I have good multi-pieces. I have something that resembles my object. Yes?
Looks close enough for me. Yep. That's really cool.
All right, so that was the 2-second thing. Now, what I said, I did mention, I'm going to go ahead and save this file, save image. I'm going to pull this down and go PNG, and I'm going to go and we'll just save the, oh my goodness. You know what I haven't done? I have not saved at all day. I'm amazed I did not crash. I would have lost all this work and failed miserably. My computer, scratch disk E, Todd, new folder, crate, save as. Let's render this again. Actually, I'm going to go through and I'm going to go to my view, bookmarks, edit bookmarks, name 3/4, apply, new bookmark. Add to shelf? I don't even know what that does. Close. Okay, so let's go ahead and Arnold, and let's render this. There we go. Rendering. Come on, hurry up already. It's taking its sweet time because this is not an optimized model. Okay, 15 seconds. When that's done rendering, that's when you can say file, save final images, save image. I want to save this out as a PNG. It doesn't really matter. Scratch. Todd. Create. Beauty. Save. Okay, now I'm going to close this and I'm going to come down to Arnold. Actually, I'm going to close this again. I want to change the render engine though, and I can't do it through here. I need to open a different render view. So I'm going to come back under Windows, Rendering Editors, Render Setup. No, not that. Renders, Windows, Rendering Editors, Rendering View, Rendering Settings, and Rendering View. Rendering Settings. We're going to come over to Hardware 2.0. Everybody, this is what some of you missed. Hardware 2.0. Then I'm going to come over to my Hardware Settings, Render Options. Lighting mode all, shading and textured, wire on shaded, anti-aliasing, smooth wireframe, multi-sampling, 16, close, window, rendering, render view, render. There we go. Everything that we need. Okay, so we can look at the render settings again. 16, X-ray. Now, if you have this lighting mode messed up, it gives you different settings based on what that lighting mode is set to. None, for instance. So they're all going to give you different settings. So just be aware what you set this to matters. Okay, that should be good. Render. And we talked about then putting this onto a layer and changing the color. Yes? So let's go ahead and save this. Save image. It's a PIX. That's the wrong format. PNG. It's the right one. We're going to call this crate wire. And that's going to be over in crate wire and save. All right, now I'm going to do one more thing with this. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and Arnold lights, and I'm going to add an area light. Not required for this class. Don't have to do any of this. It's just let's come back down into my view, bookmarks, camera view 1, Arnold, render. So now I've got a little bit more light, but let's go ahead and really crank this bad boy up. So let's come over to my attribute settings. I'm going to go ahead and, with this light selected, Arnold, render, see, default light 1, color, exposure, intensity. Well, let's change this color just so we can see what we're doing. Let's make it a nice, pretty, bright red. So it's not having any effect on it. And the reason for that is this sky dome light that we have is overpowering it. So let's grab this. Where's this light? Oh my goodness. W. So let's come over. Here's this. So let's go up to exposure now and crank this up to 5. It's because we're working on a monster scale. There we go. Okay, so we blew that out a little bit. I missed it. Let's go to 12. There we go. I'm going to kind of drag this over.
So that render view is like live.
Yeah, that render view is killing my computer right now.
Yeah.
In real time, killing my computer. Not 2,200. Because remember how big it was compared to the grid? That is messing up all the lighting right now. There we go. Okay, so now I've got this, and I've got this highlight. So now when I come back over to here, and I go Arnold, lights, sky dome light. There, I can see I've got just that little bit of red on there now. So now I can come back over to outliner. And I want that. Like all my cubes. Remember what I said about it's not going to be real helpful when you have cube 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20? It's not helpful. Area light. Let's change this to like a little bit of a... So we can see exactly what's being lit doing this. None of this is required. You're not going to end up with a colored light. You're going to end up with a white light. But if your scene's a little dark, you can do that to help it. So it's rendering. As soon as that's done, I'll save it and we can compare the two. It's not going to be a huge difference, just a very subtle difference. Okay. File, save image. Okay, so let's go and compare those now. All right, so here's the original. Here's the wire. And then there's with the blue. It's really a subtle little difference. Not much of anything. Can you see it?
Yeah. The first one, a little dark.
Just a smidge darker. I mean, it's not supposed to be overpowering. What I really am trying to do is see how, like, some of this gets lost down here because it's dark. I just want to bring that up a little bit. I'm not trying to do anything crazy with it. See how it pops up a little bit better now? Some of this small detail. That's all I'm talking about. This is subtle things. If you are making things and you can see this giant blaring light with a crazy hotspot, you're wrong. Subtle. Subtle is good. Sledgehammer is bad. Subtle is good. Sledgehammer is bad. All right, so that is this for the day. I'm going to go ahead and post this up in the